Kirk Frost and Young Jock allegedly got into a heated argument with Lil Scrappy at a nightclub, and let's just say that things got ugly rapidly. Witnesses claimed that punches were thrown, and security struggled to break up the incident. The drama didn't end there, though. Was it an old feud that resurfaced? Or did something happen that night that pushed these men over the edge? Stay tuned, because we have exclusive details on what happened, who threw the first punch, and what's going on in hip-hop right now. And reality TV drama is never far behind. But this time things went beyond words to a full-fledged physical altercation. Kirk Frost, Young Jock, and Lil Scrappy, three well-known figures from Love and hip-hop Atlanta, found themselves in the midst of a wild nightclub brawl that had everyone talking. We've seen our share of messy feuds and heated arguments on LHHATL, but with something entirely different. Get your popcorn ready, because this is going to get messy before the fist flew and the camera started rolling. The tension between Kirk Frost, Young Jock, and Lil Scrappy had been building for a while. But what caused this escalation? Let's break it down. Kirk Frost and Young Jock have been part of the Love and hip-hop universe for years. And while they may have had their ups and downs in the past, things seem to be cooling down now. But there's always a spark under the surface. And when Lil Scrappy entered the picture, things quickly became complicated. According to rumors that had been circulating for months, Lil Scrappy, despite his love for his wife Bambi, had been at odds with both Kirk and Young Jock, causing tensions in their personal and professional lives. This led to the infamous club scene, where everything came to a head. In the weeks before the altercation, it was evident that the minor arguments were only getting worse, with accusations of disrespect and alleged backstabbing. The fight was actually sparked by a remark made by Lil Scrappy about Young Jacko, who frequently found himself embroiled in drama, tried to remain neutral until he could no longer. But the real shocker was how deeply ingrained the animosity went. Kirk Frost had been secretly harboring anger towards both of them for months, and Young, despite his cool demeanor, was ready to let loose some pent-up frustrations. Now picture this. You're all hanging out in a nightclub drinking and socializing, and suddenly, as the night progressed, everything appeared to be going smoothly. But for Kirk Frost, Young Jock, and Lil Scrappy, it was a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. The room becomes tense and feels like something is about to happen, but no one expected it to escalate to the level it did. It was just another typical night at the nightclub, with music thumping, drinks flowing, and friends mingling. Little did anyone know that beneath the flashing lights and dancing crowd, a storm was about to hit. Little Jacko, who was trying to keep things light, couldn't stop the situation from getting worse. He tried to intervene, but it was like he was playing referee between two wild animals, each with a point to prove. At this point, everyone was on edge, and one wrong word could set the whole thing off. The first indication that things were getting out of hand was when Lil Scrappy made a jab at Kirk Frost's parenting. Although it seemed careless, the words cut deeper than anyone realized. Kirk Frost, a father, took the remark personally and saw it as an attack on his family, something no one had the right to do. The conversation escalated as Kirk Frost, feeling disrespected, started to challenge Lil Scrappy, who refused to back down and fired back with a few words of his own. The tension between them was high, but nobody anticipated that it would turn physical. However, the moment that will never be forgotten occurred when Kirk Frost allegedly shoved Lil Scrappy first. The nightclub went silent for a brief moment before chaos broke out, and club security hurried to break up the altercation. But by then the two men were already locked in a physical altercation. Young Jock attempted to break up the altercation, but was dragged into the chaos. We still don't have all the answers. But even after the fight was broken up, the aftermath left everyone in shock. The fallout from this fight would continue to create even more tension behind the scenes. The dust had barely settled when the rumors started to swirl in the days following the explosive fight, and the nightclub incident became the shocking part. Everyone had been on edge, but nobody expected this fight to go down in such a dramatic fashion. And yet there it was on film for the world to see. Social media was ablaze with videos of the altercation, and both fans and critics were quick to share their thoughts. However, Kirk Frost, who was trying to keep quiet, was unprepared for what would happen next. His personal relationships were also affected. Family members, friends, and even business associates started to question his behavior, and some were accusing him of inflaming the situation. Young was in a similar situation, but for different reasons. As the conflict's peacemaker, he came under fire for failing to break up the fight before it got out of control, despite his best efforts to maintain a calm exterior. His reputation was now on the line, and people began to wonder if he was just trying to keep the peace or if he was indirectly stoking the fire. However, Lil Scrappy's most shocking response was probably that, despite his notoriously fiery temper, he wasn't the type to back down from a challenge, and the fight only made him more determined to get his revenge. He took to social media to express his frustration and anger, but he didn't stop there. Scrappy went on to call out Kirk in ways that shocked fans, and threats of further confrontation started to circulate, and rumors circulated that the tension between them was far from over at this point. It was evident that the nightclub brawl was more than just a drunken moment. It was a symbol of deep-seated resentment that had been building up for years. Fans of the three men started to take sides, and the fight quickly turned into a public spectacle that would not go away. On the one hand, some fans sided with Kirk, arguing that Scrappy had gone too far with his remarks, while others thought Scrappy had every right to defend himself after being thrust into the corner by Kirk. But amid all of the back-and-forth social media posts, there was a growing sense that this wasn't just about a fight. Rather, it was about power dynamics, ego clashes, and personal issues that had been simmering beneath the surface for far too long. Behind the scenes, however, a much darker truth was coming to light. Could this fight be a symptom of something deeper? Or was it really just about a few harsh words at a nightclub? Or were there deeper unresolved issues at play? This is where things get even more explosive. You won't believe what we discovered about what happened behind closed doors. Watching to see how things took a shocking turn that nobody could have predicted as the social media storm raged on. Kirk Frost, Young Jock, and Lil Scrappy weren't the only ones dealing with the fallout from that fateful night behind closed doors in their homes and personal lives. Things were starting to fall apart in ways that nobody could have predicted for Kirk. The fight's aftermath started to affect his relationship with his longtime wife, Rashida. The couple had already experienced their share of ups and downs, and while many believed they had a strong foundation, this fight put a strain on everything they had worked for. Rashida, who had always supported Kirk through thick and thin, but she started to doubt his judgment. Was the fight a sign of a deeper problem in their relationship, or was he really the man she had married? Rashida was visibly upset and started to hint at something darker brewing beneath the surface. In an interview, she left fans and followers in shock. What does she mean when she said, "I don't recognize him anymore"? That the incident wasn't a one-off occurrence? Was there something more going on in Kirk's personal life that caused this altercation? Kirk attempted to minimize the situation, saying that he was simply caught up in the heat of the moment. Jock, who had been caught in the middle of it all, was also trying to move on, but he wasn't exactly escaping the drama unscathed. Jock had been more than just a friend to both Kirk and Scrappy. He was also a key figure in their personal lives. Nevertheless, his denial didn't sit well with everyone, especially Rashida, who began to question the very core of their relationship. Wasn't the first time Kirk had been accused of questionable behavior, and it appeared that the fight had brought all of his past transgressions to the surface. Raised eyebrows, with many wondering if he had a secret agenda. Could young Jock have been using the tension between Kirk and Scrappy to his advantage? In an exclusive interview, Jock was asked directly if he felt guilty for not intervening sooner during the fight. Jock paused for a moment, carefully choosing his words. "You know, things get heated sometimes, but I never thought it would get physical," he said, avoiding the question of whether he could have done more to defuse the situation. Was he being sincere, or was he trying to hide something more sinister? Fans were left wondering if young Jock's composed exterior was a front. Lil Scrappy, on the other hand, wasn't just upset about the fight. There were long-standing grudges and unresolved issues that had developed between him and Kirk for years. Many fans were unaware that this altercation wasn't a chance occurrence. Rather, it was the result of years of tension and frustration that had been building up behind closed doors. Scrappy had been dealing with feelings of disrespect and betrayal, and sources close to Scrappy disclosed that the fight was only the tip of the iceberg for Scrappy. The problem extended beyond the nightclub, with years of unresolved beef that finally boiled over. But the real kicker was that Scrappy had been privately contacting people close to him, hinting that he was considering leaving the entire love and hip-hop franchise. Could the fight be a turning point in his career? He was finally tired of the drama that surrounded him, leaving fans to wonder if Scrappy would ever be the same after this. As the fallout continued, it became increasingly clear that this fight was more than just a fight. It was about how Kirk's actions in the past had affected their friendship. A violent moment that reflected broken relationships, long-standing resentment, and unresolved issues that had been ignored for too long. But the most shocking revelation was still to come. Would these three men be able to patch up their broken friendships, or was this the last straw that broke the camel's back? Stay tuned, because the final twist in this story will change everything you thought you knew about the fight and its aftermath. You won't believe what happens next as the world watches the aftermath of the nightclub fight unfold with interest due to the popularity of hip-hop and love. Because of the ongoing scrutiny of these public figures, the incident quickly spread on social media, with fans and followers analyzing every moment and sharing their perspectives. In the hours following the fight, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook were inundated with posts from fans on both sides. Critics didn't hold back, accusing Kirk Frost of being careless and reckless. One fan wrote, "Kirk needs to grow up. Young Jock and Scrappy were both right to call." The split between fans demonstrated how divisive the fight had become, with people on both sides fervently supporting their favorite stars. Maybe the most shocking response came from young Jock, who took to Instagram Live in a now-famous post addressing the incident head-on in the video. On the other hand, some defended Kirk, arguing that he had been provoked and that the fight wasn't entirely his fault. Kirk is not perfect, but Scrappy can be hot-headed, so we need to stop blaming him for everything. The revelation caused a huge stir online, with many wondering whether the producers had contributed to the altercation for the sake of drama and ratings. One fan asked if they really wanted to fight, or if it was scripted, while others dismissed it as mere rumors. Discussions with producers about possibly adding new cast members to spice up the show were something that hadn't been revealed before, leaving fans wondering if this fight was staged for TV, or if young Jock was attempting to hide his involvement in the fight by drawing attention to possible storyline changes. Appeared more likely to increase the show's viewership to some fans as all of this was going on, instead of being as outspoken on social media as Kirk or Jock. Lil Scrappy posted a mysterious message on his Instagram that read, "I'm not here for the drama, but real recognizes real. Sometimes you have to let things go." It wasn't clear whether Scrappy was referring to the fight specifically or more broadly to his relationship with Kirk, but fans were left wondering what was going through Scrappy's mind. Was he beginning to distance himself from the show, or was he genuinely trying to take the "people think they know us, but they don't. They see the drama, but they don't understand the struggle behind closed doors. We're working through it," Rashida, Kirk's wife, a public figure and entrepreneur in her own right, said in a video posted on Instagram. Supporters' interpretations of her message varied. Some thought Rashida was reminding the audience that their lives were more than the drama they watched on television, while others were more dubious and wondered if she was attempting to downplay the situation or divert attention from what was actually happening. Some even questioned whether Rashida was starting to reconsider her relationship with Kirk, particularly after his involvement in the fight. The social media frenzy continued, with some fans analyzing the fight in detail and implying that tension between the three men had been simmering beneath the surface for some time. Others began to delve into previous interviews and social media posts in search of hints that could explain why the fight occurred. In the days after the incident, fans were glued to their screens, wondering whether this fight would be the final straw for the production team. Would these dramatic incidents continue to fuel the show or push the actors and cast members away? Could this lead to cast changes? Could Scrappy, Kirk, or young Jock walk away from the show permanently? There was more to the story than what viewers had seen on TV, according to one viral tweet that even mentioned rumors of a larger backstage conflict that could affect not only the current cast, but the future of the entire show. In a heartfelt video, Scrappy thanked his fans for their support and expressed his appreciation for the love he had received during the fallout. "I'm learning from this situation," he shared. "Sometimes you have to learn to walk away from the nonsense and focus on what matters." He appeared more calm and introspective, as if the fight had taught him something important. While the public was still watching Kirk and young Jock, and rumors of potential behind-the-scenes disputes were still circulating, it was unclear if they were making an effort to put the drama behind them. Would it ever really return to normal? Was this fight a one-time incident or the start of the end for these castmates and longtime friends? As the week went on, more shocking revelations emerged, each adding fuel to the fire of what had already become one of the most talked about events in hip-hop and love history. Stay tuned, because the truth behind the nightclub fight is only becoming more twisted, and what happens next might just modify everything.